This is a little tutorial on plants, okay, and all the different aspects of plants. So it's quite long. It'll have to be broken up into a number of pieces, okay. So first of all, we're going to start off with photosynthesis, one of the things that people really struggle with through the 2 years of the Leaving Cert course. So if you want to pause this video, have a little look here at the different parts that we're going to look at. For higher level and ordinary level, for photosynthesis, you both need to know the word and symbol equations. It's the stages of photosynthesis where things differentiate between higher and ordinary level. So let's go through that now. So let's start off first of all with the word, and the balanced symbol equation for photosynthesis has to be known for higher and ordinary level. Okay, so remember 6CO2 plus 6H2O arrow becomes glucose, which is C6H12O6 plus 6O2. So please learn that off. And you should have chlorophyll and light over the arrows, because they're the two things necessary for photosynthesis to occur. Now, why photosynthesis is really important to life on Earth, girls? First of all, it produces oxygen, which is a key element for us for respiration, so we have to breathe it in. Also, plants are producers. They're the first step of every food chain. So if they can't capture light energy from the sun, then everything else would die, because nothing else has a food source. Now, there's steps of photosynthesis for ordinary level. You need to know that light is absorbed through the chlorophyll pigment. Water is split into 3 different products: protons, electrons, and water. Protons, electrons, and oxygen. The products of water move to different areas in the chloroplast, and they go on for different functions. Light energy excites electrons and glucose is formed. So that's enough for ordinary level. Just please learn off the 3 products of the water splitting, which is your protons, your electrons, and your oxygen. The steps of photosynthesis for higher level is slightly more difficult. Now, I've broken this down into the most simplest form that I can. There are 2 phases you need to know: light phase, dark phase. Light phase is called light phase because it requires light to occur. It leads to the formation of oxygen, ATP, and NADPH. The light phase is not enzymatically controlled, so it's not affected by temperature. There are 2 separate pathways in the light stage. One is cyclic, which means electrons move from electron-accepting molecule to electron-accepting molecule in a big circle. And the other one is non-cyclic, where 2 electrons move from electron-accepting molecule to electron-accepting molecule in a line, and they will eventually join. What happens here? Sorry, girls. So it'll eventually form NADPH. They don't go back to their original position. Both of these stages, girls, make ATP and NADPH, which is really important for the dark stage, for the production of glucose. Now, your dark stage, girls, does not require light, but it does need enzymes, so it's temperature dependent. And that's why farmers then can use temperature to speed up or slow down the growth of crops. If needs be, usually speed up because they want to increase their yields. It involves carbon dioxide and the 2 products from the light stage, which is NADPH and ATP, to make glucose. Mandatory practicals on photosynthesis. So, girls, you need to be able to estimate the rate of photosynthesis based on light or carbon dioxide concentration. You choose one of those. Light is the easier one. So you keep your level of carbon dioxide in the water, dissolved carbon dioxide in water, constant, using sodium hydrogen carbonate. Okay, so you dissolve that in the water. That releases carbon dioxide, so that's not going to be a limiting factor. That's not going to affect your results. Then what you do is you use a meter stick and a light to move light towards and away from a aquatic plant called Allodia. Then what you do is you count the number of bubbles per minute that Allodia makes. Now, the reason you use a water-based plant is because otherwise you wouldn't be able to see the oxygen come off, because it's an invisible, odourless gas. But when it's in water, you can see small bubbles coming from it, allowing you to estimate the rate of photosynthesis. And obviously the results of this investigation are: the closer the light, the quicker the bubbles are produced, the faster the rate of photosynthesis. Now, increasing, decreasing rates of photosynthesis. I talked a little bit about this when we talked about the higher level stages of photosynthesis. So farmers need to be able to increase the rate of photosynthesis to increase their yields. Things that they do: they pump extra carbon dioxide into their glasshouses. They use glasshouses to increase the temperature. They water their plants. They keep them under light 24 hours a day. All of those things can increase the rate and therefore increase their yields and therefore increase their income. Now, structure and transport in a plant. If you want to stop the video here and have a little read of the different parts that you need to know from this, that's okay. And test yourself, that's okay. Let's go through them. So first of all, you need to know the structure of the root, because the root is what anchors the plant, and it's what allows the plant to take in water and minerals from the soil. The two diagrams you need to know are below that there. So you've got your transverse section of a root, okay, here. So that's when you cut across a root and look down into it. This is your longitudinal section of a root here, girls, okay? Both of these diagrams need to be practiced and need to be known. Roots are specifically designed for their functions because they've got really high surface area because of their root hairs, okay? And they're also high in levels of sugars and salts, which means they encourage osmosis to occur. They also go deep into the soil to allow for water to be taken in. Now, how carbon dioxide gets into the plant, girls, that's through stomata on the underside of leaves. Here we've got what's called the palisade layer of the leaf. We can see stomata, the stomata opening here. Stomata are controlled by the opening and closing of guard cells. These two cells here on either side of the stomata are called guard cells. Carbon dioxide and oxygen move in and out of here during respiration and photosynthesis. Now, how plants store food in different parts of the plant. So where a plant stores its food, a bit like where we store our fat or extra nutrients, okay, can be different for different plants, okay. So for potatoes, they are considered underground stems, okay. They're tubers. They're considered underground stems. So they store their excess starch in underground stems to allow for overwintering. Carrots, on the other hand, are considered roots. So carrots store their starch underneath the ground in their roots. Some plants will store it in their leaves, like onions, okay? And other plants will store it in different ways, but just be aware that it gets stored in different parts of the plant. This is a higher level topic only that people need to know, which is your tension cohesion model of water transport. And this was originated by two Irish scientists called Jodie and Dixon, which if you go to Trinity College to do science, you'll be in their lecture theatres for some of your lectures. So their ideas of how water enters a plant and is able to move up to 80 foot up the plant if it's a very large tree by a number of different processes combined, okay? We've got osmotic pressure, the pushing pressure from the roots that pushes water into the plant, okay? That's encouraged by high levels of salts and sugar concentrations in the root. That's osmotic pressure. We've got a pulling pressure in the plant. Because water is cohesive, it's attracted to other water molecules because of hydrogen bonding. As one oxygen molecule leaves the tree from its stomata, it pulls up the next one behind it, okay? So you've got a push there, you've got a pull there. The other thing that occurs, girls, to encourage water to move up really high up a plant is that the xylem narrows. The xylem is a really it's a lignified tissue, so it's strengthened by lignin, and that allows it to narrow slightly and encourage water to move up the plant. So that's called your tension cohesion model. Now, you need to know about the effect of carbon dioxide on stomata. If there are high levels of carbon dioxide, girls, it causes the stomata to close. That's usually when the plant is in the respiration phase and there's no photosynthesis occurring, usually at night. Now, again, we're going to go into plant responses. If you want to pause the video here for a second and see what's involved in this, pause it now and have a little read through these steps. So first of all, girls, a tropism is a response of a plant to any stimulus that's around it. Could be light, could be gravity, could be water. So here we've got phototropism here, plants moving towards a light. Obviously, it's beneficial to them because it means they can do photosynthesis. We've got geotropism here, plant responding to gravity, and the roots grow down, the stems grow up. And we've got chemotropism here, where your sperm nucleus is able to grow towards the egg cell in sexual reproduction. And we also have hydrotropism, where roots will grow towards water. Now, plant hormones are what cause tropisms, girls. You need to know a growth promoter and a growth inhibitor. So your growth promoter, girls, is IAA, indole acetic acid. You need to know the full name for that. And your inhibitors, girls, you need to know ethene or abscisic acid. Remember, ethene is what's used. I think it's actually ethine, excuse me, girls, okay? So ethine is what's used for the maturation or the ripening of bananas and ripening of other fruit in supermarkets. They're sprayed with ethine. And abscisic acid then is what causes leaves to go brown in autumn. Now, what causes the growth response in plants? So, IAA, girls, tends to be, indole acetic acid tends to be produced in an apical bud at the top of a plant, okay? And for phototropism, girls, your IAA will grow down the dark side of the plant. That causes elongation in the cells of the dark side, meaning that the plant will move towards light, okay? They're also produced, girls, in the meristem, which is your growth tissue, girls, in the plant too, okay? So apical, bud, and meristem. How plants protect themselves from harm. So you need to learn off at least two of these. So they have heat shock protein. So anything that grows in a desert or at really high temperatures will have lots of heat shock proteins present to prevent their enzymes from being damaged from extreme heat. They have bark to stop parasites from getting into them. They have stress proteins that allow them to deal with dehydration and other stressors. They are able to close their stomata to prevent excess loss of water, and their stomata are present at the bottom of the leaf to stop them being overexposed to the sun and to the sun and to wind. And they also have spines or stings to prevent herbivores from eating them. Now remember your IAA experiment. So this is where we took IAA and we made 8 different concentrations of IAA, and then we placed different cress seeds into these different IAA solutions on little kind of plates, and we stacked them vertically, okay, to allow for geotropism, okay. Then what we did is we came along, we measured the shoot length and the root length here. And this was a difficult experiment because the shoots and roots are quite delicate. It was difficult to measure, okay. So what we saw was that high levels of AA encourage shoots to grow, but discourage roots to go. Whereas low levels of IAA encourage roots to grow and discourage shoots to grow.